I'll go ahead and start, I guess, first. John, after the ranking duels on Sunday, you had talked about Andrew Niemann obviously going to get the opportunity to start this weekend in the opening duels. If I remember right, his story is kind of unique because he obviously very intelligent guy, was offered to go out to Stanford for wrestling. Obviously wanted to stay home, and you actually asked him to basically join the program because he was kind of on the verge of calling it a wrestling career after high school. Wasn't that the case?
Yeah, a little bit. I think he always knew that. He always knew I was going to come after him if he was staying. So here we are, and just really appreciate the commitment that these young men like Andrew makes, and it makes a difference in the quality of your program. So I'm just really excited that he gets this opportunity to start, and he needs to recognize that it wasn't given to him. He earned it, and he spent a lot of time wrestling behind guys, and this is his opportunity. So I look forward to seeing him take advantage of it.
What was that conversation like when he came out of high school? Again, I know he was already planning on kind of focusing more on academics at Oklahoma State, but to get him back into the wrestling room, what'd you end up saying to?
Well, it was just it wasn't time. It wasn't time. You don't end your career, when you still have a lot to give, and I think what my general thoughts is that. I had a chance to see him grow up in Cowboy Wrestling Little League program, and I had got a chance to see him grow up and win a state championship in high school. And if you're going to be here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, you're going to wrestle.
What was that? Oh, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I said, if you're going to be here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, you're going to wrestle. So he's put a lot of time in, and there's some challenge with his academics. He's in a very serious and very challenging degree, and I give him all the room in the world to make sure that he follows through with his commitment to his degree. So there's times that he needs an extra day, he needs an extra practice off. There's just those times that he needs it, and he deserves it.
Yeah. And then looking ahead to your opponents this weekend, I know you said there's hope that you guys can field essentially a second team to compete against some guys, so they get the opportunities to wrestle because they're not going to have those tournaments as usual. Have you heard from those teams? Are you feel like you're going to get a full lineup, or are there going to be some holes with both of those teams coming in Sunday?
They're going to have extra guys. They're going to have extra guys, and between the three teams, we'll wrestle extra matches following our dual meet with Chattanooga at noon and with Oregon State at 2:00. We will start that Oregon State match at 2:00. It's a TV match, so it's going to start at 2:00. Following that match, we'll open up one of the mats for extra matches. We're just going to start wrestling extra matches following the matches. So some of those matches might be us wrestling each other again. Okay. Just to make sure that we get a quality match in, or, maybe all teams may not bring an extra 184-pounder or 174-pounder. And we have two guys there needing a match, so they'll wrestle each other. So but just kind of keep in mind that the dual meets that we're having are going to be ran as you would see a normal dual meet. Those extra matches, there's going to be guys that possibly on the mat that are not OSU guys. It may be, Little Rock, Arkansas wrestling someone else for an extra match. But those matches also count towards the individual's record.
Thanks, John.
Mm-hmm.
Next question will come from Robert Allen. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, John, a couple of things coming out of the ranking matches again on Sunday. I don't know. I know you talked a lot about Dustin Plott, but Christian also got a fall. 174 looks pretty good. I mean, I can see where I'd be calling Chattanooga and Oregon State saying, bring all the 174 pounders you want.
Yeah. For now, you just kind of got to measure everything against the competition. And
I understand.
Yeah. So, I think just in this COVID in general, these times, you're going to need everybody. I'm kind of noticing a little bit more tweaks and injuries than I've ever seen. I think that has a lot to do, Robert, is that you have more time on your hands from a standpoint of working out, with only one day of competition. I mean, normally we'd be running a Friday, Sunday match or a Saturday, Sunday match. We're taking off a couple of days. So this has kind of extended those workouts out. And so I think we're going to need everyone. Our 74-pound class is pretty tough. We also could have Matavo at 174 down the road. So that was a starter at 84. He's injured right now, and maybe when he comes back, he might be looking at 174.
All right, and my other question actually comes from a listener on the radio show this morning that heard your Zoom on Sunday and noticed you talked about the 197 young 197 pounders, AJ and Luke, and that in the future those two could separate. One could go up to heavyweight. He was wanting you to elaborate on that because his concern was they don't necessarily look like they've got heavyweight frames, either one of them, although I know AJ's carried more weight.
Well, Luke Serber's grandfather's a big man. Luke Serber, came in here and in the short time has put on 15, 20 pounds. Sometimes you don't want a 240, 250 pound heavyweight. Sometimes you want a 225 pound heavyweight. If you remember Z and Rochalt, those guys were 225 pound heavyweights. Luke Serber's already hitting 215. Ferrari can hit 220. Both of them probably can hit 220 now. You're looking for that athletic body that Luke Serber's probably 6'3" and Ferrari's probably 6 foot. So who's going to grow more? So I think that it's going to be real easy for us to turn one of them into a heavyweight.
Yeah,
what we're looking for.
Yeah, and then Gary Calcagno, what does he say to you about those two kids' strength levels? Because I've already heard all kinds of things about AJ's strength level.
Well, he can probably match up with anyone on campus in any sport. I mean, pound for pound, he's a strong kid, man. But also, I think Serber's found himself in a nice weight room that is watching him mature. And as he's maturing, he's putting on that weight, he's putting on that man muscle. And I think what makes me excited about both of them is they love wrestling. They wake up and they think about wrestling. They love doing what they're doing, and man, that just fires you up as an old coach.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Next question will come from Marshall Scott.
Yeah, Coach, is it almost more exciting going into the season considering how long the offseason has felt?
Yeah, my gosh, it's you think about it. I mean, my career, since I was 7 or 8, I don't think I've ever taken this much time away from competition ever, as an athlete or as a coach, so we finished up last March with the Big 12, and we haven't competed or I've been to a competition, nor have I watched a competition, nor have I coached a competition since then. So that's a big gap, 9-10 months that we're not used to. So I think the good thing is just appreciate our medical staff, Dr. Ivan, our trainer, to putting us in a pretty good position right now as we're getting ready to start. We know that can change with people not being responsible, but as we're going into it, we plan on having a season. I like the fact that we're wrestling once a week. I think that gives us even a better chance to finish up the season. As many people have recognized, our staff, our medical staff, they've done an incredible job with my team and putting us in a really good position to start off healthy and kick the season off.
And then you mentioned after Sunday that you thought you might get Harris back before this weekend. Is there any update on his status?
Harris will be back. Montalvo's out. Montalvo definitely out. So you won't see Montalvo, but you will see Harris wrestling in both matches.
Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like we got one more question back to Jason. Go ahead, Jason.
Well, first off, John, I was able to find the score for you. Blackwell won 38-33 over Perry last night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good.
To 125 with I know after the rankings you mentioned Trevor having beaten Whitcraft would get the opportunity to wrestle. How have you seen his reaction in the wrestling room after getting that win over Whitcraft, knowing that essentially he is that guy? He's going to have that starter's mentality now. Yeah,
he just he's not scared of it, and as we all know, Trevor was a highly recruited kid for us, and tell you the truth, for him to keep his job this year, he's going to have to stay motivated. I mean, I can tell you right now, Whitcraft is, he's not going to sit around and just let you have it, so we got a good, healthy competition there. The good thing is we got 2 guys. We got another kid named Burks that has shown some promise, but at this point, definitely in the third slot. So that kind of, might put him in a position where he doesn't see a lot of matches this year. But Trevor's done a nice job this week of just, having a nice win and being recognized as a starter. I see a level of motivation that I was hoping to see.
You mentioned having Jacason back there as well. Is this one of the deepest you've been at 125 in a while? Because it seems like you've only had kind of maybe 1 or 2 guys, and it sounds like you have up to 3 guys that you feel pretty good about.
Yeah, you're right. But remember, when you got a Nick Piccinini and he's a top 4 guy,
sure,
you're not replacing that, right? I mean, these guys aren't top 4. These guys aren't top 8. They're young kids and they haven't had that chance. But right now, this weight class, where it's at right now, you know, it's a weight class that's not going to help us a whole lot unless we develop these whoever it is into something that they need to be much better than they are right now. And that can happen very much. And we expect it to happen. So, you know, when you say depth, you know, I don't look at it as, you know, I would trade Nick Piccinini for all three of them, you know, and that experience, right? But I'm looking forward to the opportunity of developing.
All right, thanks.
Coach, we had a couple more questions come in. Go ahead, Dean.
Hey, Coach, just real quickly. I know he's already on the Zoom call, but what are you seeing at 184 this weekend?
You know, that Geer is looking good. I mean, Dakota Geer is tough. He made the cut down. He wrestled 97 last year. He should have been at 84 last year. We needed him at 97. We're just in a jam a little bit with what we had, and it was a big commitment for him. But he just looks good at 84. You know, he's moves well, and he's going to be very competitive at the weight. So when I say competitive, you know, I'm saying that he's in a position to win, you know, all of his matches, you know, in our dual meets, and is in a position to be a top 5 guy in the nation.
Thank you, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
We're going back to Robert Allen. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, John, you kind of answered this with Jason's question, but as far as the freshman class coming in this year, and you talked about how AJ and Luke wake up loving wrestling, and how Mastro Giovanni is handled this week after his win in the ranking matches, you know, like you would expect him to. Is this not just in a wrestling facet, but in a mental, in a maturity facet? Is this group of freshmen you brought in this class exceptional in that area as well?
Yeah, I think so. You know, you tell it. The story tells a little more as you get in the season. These guys get roughed up a little bit and see how they respond to it. You know, are they durable with injuries and things like that? You know, so everything I see right now is this is a good class, and it's a very stable, very consistent. I don't know if I had a conversation with any of them negative wise academically. I think I had to get on one of them for missing a couple assignments, but you know, that's a real relief, Robert. You can stay in coaching for a long time, you know, with kids like this. So, you know, it's just a real enjoyable that you're not spending most of your time, you know, running them down, trying to get them to class, trying to get them to do things that you want them done. These guys are just real consistent and have good lifestyles.
All right, thanks.
You bet.
Your next question will come from Marcus Trevino, the Ocali.
Coach, Chris Pendleton is returning to Stillwater this weekend. What are your thoughts about what he's done since he's left your program? Well,
he's done a nice job. He's put himself in position to get the head job there at Oregon State. You know, it was a competitive job that they looked across the nation for, and in the end, I think his experience here. I think his experience as an assistant coach under Mark Branch up at Wyoming, and then he went on to be the assistant coach at Arizona State. So he's put his time in, and I think being from Lemoore, California, really probably made the difference in him getting that job recruiting wise. He should be covered up in California. But what a great kid. You know, we found Chris at camp in Reno, Nevada. Really, his team was at camp when we were running a camp in Reno, Nevada, and we would have never found him if we wasn't at that camp. We saw him, and and took a chance on him. And when he got to Stillwater, fell in love with it, and he just flourished athletically like we've never seen. I think he won a one-time state championship, and he ended up winning 2 NCAA championships. So he was a ball of fun for us, and helped us win several NCAA championships.
All right, it looks like that's all the questions we got for Coach Smith. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Reed. Take care, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks, John.
All right, if you have questions for Dakota Geer, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll start off with Jason Elmquist. Go ahead, Jason.
Hey, Dakota, how you been? Nope, you're muted.
There we go.
There you go.
I'm good. How about you?
Not too bad. Are you excited to finally get back out on the mat against somebody not wearing an orange or black? Well, I guess against Oregon State, they'll be orange or black, but someone who you haven't been wrestling against in the wrestling room for a while.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in there for a long time, just practicing. It kind of seems almost endless whenever you're just practicing all the time without any competition, and I'm just excited. And I'm excited about being at 84 and being able to compete again this year. So really all around, it's just an exciting time now that it's getting started again.
I know we've had the conversation the past few years of that, that bouncing up and down at those 2 weight classes, obviously trying to put on muscle instead of fat to get up there. How is that? How I guess from just a physical standpoint, how difficult was that? Just kind of bouncing back and forth, and your body just trying to adjust at those 2 weights.
So last year, I think it was just hard on me just because at the beginning of the year, I wrestled that UCO tournament at 84. I made the cut down, and then they bumped me up to 97. And then I think being in the middle of the season, it's hard to get your weight up to 97 where you cut down and actually feel big at 97. So I was kind of small that whole year. But this year I had the whole summer to kind of watch my weight and make sure I'm close to 84. So this year, I actually made 84, I think, the easiest this year for that wrestle-offs than I have ever, I think. I mean, just having that whole summer. I mean, that's one of the benefits of just having all that practice time is that you can watch your weight and focus on your weight and just practice.
Yeah. I know you talked about, trying to be able to take advantage at 97 because being smaller, you were also a little bit faster and whatnot. But now that you're back down to 84, I mean, what did your experience at 97 maybe help you that you can maybe translate to the lighter weight now?
I think one of my big flaws at 97 was just usually my gas tank at 84s. I usually can keep going longer than the other guy. And I think at 97, they were just too much bigger than me, and I was tiring myself out. So I think being at 97 and dealing with that issue, I think being back at 84, I'll be able to just move better at the weight and move them better, spending a whole year trying to move 97 pounders.
You'll have no excuse when John's saying a match.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, ultimately, do you feel like you're just more comfortable at this weight compared to 97?
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought that 84 is my weight. I mean, I just feel better there. I feel like the cut, I mean, getting down there, and then I also feel bigger. I mean, I didn't feel big at all at 97. I mean, there was definitely some big boys at that weight, but 84, I feel like I'm one of the bigger guys, and it's not too hard of a weight to make for me. So I think I just wrestle and move a lot better there.
Thanks, Dakota.
Thank you. Yep, you too.
Your next question will come from Adam Engel of the Ocali. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Dakota.
How's it going?
How's it going? Good, good. Hey, my question was, so wrestling Oregon State and Chattanooga, what do you see from Ryan Reyes at 184 in Oregon State, and then just kind of Chattanooga as a team?
I think Chattanooga has a pretty decent kid that I'm going to be wrestling. So, I mean, I feel like should be one of the top guys. I mean, and I enjoy starting out the year with some tough matches. I mean, that's the best way to start it out. So that, I mean, it gets you ready for the year and get you prepared for what's to come too. I haven't really looked at the Oregon State kid yet much, so I don't really have much on him.
That's right. Hey, thanks.
Yep.
Your next question will come from Marshall Scott. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Dakota, you talked about moving away from 197. What do you think about those guys who've kind of given you some relief there in AJ and Luke?
What's that?
What do you think about AJ and Luke, those guys that have kind of given you some relief at 197?
Yeah, I mean, those guys they're tough. I mean, they're some of the toughest freshmen coming into college right now, I would say. I mean, AJ, obviously, he's a brute, big boy. I think he'll definitely do the team well at 97. But I mean, Luke Serber, he's not. I mean, as he shot the wrestle off, he's not far behind. I think if he can get up to heavyweight or even 97, depending on which one goes up a weight, I think they'll both end up being very good for the team.
This is, a pretty highly celebrated freshman class that's come in. Kind of, have they been any different than other freshman classes, or have you kind of seen them step into their roles?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely stepped into their roles. I mean, the guys I'm wrestling with, Dustin Plott, Serber, and AJ. I mean, those guys come in every day and they just grind it out. They're not worried about hard work or getting tired. They just go after it, and I think they're prepared to start as a true freshman. I mean, not many people come in being ready as a true freshman. I think they definitely have what it takes to start, though.
Thanks, Dakota.
Yep.
And back to Jason Elmquist. Go ahead, Jason.
Dakota, I know he's not at a weight class really anywhere near you, but John mentioned after the ranking matches that Andrew Niemann would get the opportunity to start at 133. At least from a distance, what have you seen from him? Obviously, he's a very quiet guy, a very personal guy, but to see him getting this opportunity, as someone they essentially had to drag into the weight room after high school to stick with wrestling, to get this opportunity at the D1 level now.
I think he's excited. I mean, being a senior and getting to start finally. I mean, I don't think he was too excited about the weight cut he had to make on Sunday, but I know I talked to him actually yesterday, and he said he's close to weight now. So, I mean, other than the weight cut, I think he's just really excited to finally get that time on the mat and start for the team.
Yeah. What is someone like him and obviously a guy like Austin Harris who have put in the time, they haven't come in and instantly started, finally getting that opportunity. What does that do maybe for the morale of the lineup, seeing those guys get that opportunity that you've seen in the background, putting in all this work?
For those guys, I mean, whenever you're putting in that work, you're obviously doing it so you can start eventually. And sometimes that can be a long process if you're not being able to start. But I think once you finally break through that lineup and get to start for the team, I think it really boosts their morale. And I mean, they just get excited and they get more fired up for practice, because if you're just practicing and not getting to start, I think it can kind of deteriorate your drive to wrestle. But once you finally get to wrestle for the team, I think it really boosts what you want to do.
What about for you guys, you especially you veterans who've been in the lineup for a few years, when you see those guys getting that opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I get excited for them too. I mean, I've been friends with both of them ever since I got here, and finally getting to watch them compete. Well, Austin competed last year, but
right.
I mean, watching them compete and getting to compete with some of your close friends, I mean, it's just a fun time.
Thanks.
Yep.
Another question from Robert. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, Dustin, I was going to ask you about the format this year for the schedule, as opposed to wrestling a duel on a Friday night, a Sunday afternoon. It's more like those Saturday road trips where you'd have to do 2 in one day. As a wrestler, especially a guy at one of the upper weights at 184 pounds, I would imagine it's a little easier for you than the guys who really have to cut weight. And I don't know how much you have to cut, but talk a little bit about the double dip schedule, wrestling 2 opponents, maybe 2 really good opponents sometimes in one day?
I personally, I kind of like it just because, well, I mean, it could be troublesome because it gives you more time just having those competitions every Sunday. That gives you more time in between matches to let your weight kind of fluctuate if you don't watch it. But, I mean, it's only one weigh-in for both duels. Typically, you'd have to weigh in twice for 2 of those duels. But the only downfall for that is it doesn't prepare you very much for nationals when you got to weigh in 3 days in a row, or which typically we would have tournaments that would prepare us for that, having 2-day tournaments. But I mean, I like it, getting to weigh in once for 2 matches and just getting the scrap and not have to worry about that the rest of the day, the rest of the weekend, and then just getting back to work on Monday.
And as far as the workload, you mentioned tournaments. You're used to wrestling maybe as many as 3 times a day in a tournament sometimes. So wrestling twice in one day, as long as you got maybe an hour or 2 in between is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any problem with that. Yeah, because typically we're used to, I mean, right now, usually we just got done with the Southern Scuffle, and I know some guys have seen as many as like 7 or 8 matches just at that tournament. So
yeah,
1 to 2 matches a day shouldn't be any problem for the team.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
Does anybody else have a question for Dakota Geer? All right, I think you're good to go, Dakota. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Dakota.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, and thank y'all, media.
Thanks
Thanks,
for
dude.